It's just so we've got it. Okay, there you go.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for those that took time out of your schedule to join us today. A couple of things I've been working on for your state this last couple of weeks has been primarily duplicates, just kind of going through a couple, just going through the database, looking for similar addresses, same last name, and where, if I can do a member record merge, so if they have a record like 14, 15, and then 17, 18, I can merge that. If they were active last year, I can't, because the system recognizes an overlap in 4-H years with the 16, 17, 17, 18. So for those records, I have to archive them. Then we just, as soon as we roll over into our new year, we should be able to clean that up further. But biggie is just making sure as you're working through your enrollments, check the families tab. A lot of folks just default to the members and volunteers. Well, that's assuming that there's a record created. So the family record tab, or the families tab off of your search screen, is what you want to be looking at as you're going through your enrollments. Check, make sure wherever possible we can delete duplicates. That would be great. If you come across duplicates, let me know. A lot of times for the ones that, for example, that Keith Larson has been working through, it's just the folks don't know that they have the account in the system, and or they've forgotten the email address that they used to create the original account. If it was something where there was an email address on file anyway. So no biggie, we can work through that. But now that the families are aware that they have a record in the system, getting all that cleaned up, we shouldn't have near the issues next year. It's just a learning piece for the families, getting them used to logging in and to manage their data.
Question for you, Erica, on that. Can you print out a list of all of the families and their login or something, to where at least those files can be like a hard copy, and if somebody needs to get a county a copy, or let them know?
I can create a state report and share it where it has the family email address and then the member email addresses, or at least. And so what I mean by that, a family email address is the gateway email that they use to log in the system.
Right.
On your individual profiles, be it member or volunteer, they have a spot where they can indicate a different email address. So what I'll do is I'll create a shared report, and then that way you can have that. And as you work with the families, check to see, that they have, or what we have on record is the right email address is very helpful. The other piece I've run into in a couple conversations is definitely Cloverbuds. Cloverbuds is Cloverbuds. What you will find, the way our projects are set, the only thing that Cloverbuds can really enroll in is Cloverbuds. And you should not be creating project aliases for Cloverbuds woodworking, Cloverbuds sewing, Cloverbuds horse, which we've had in Idaho. Cloverbuds is designed to provide an introduction for several risk management issues, and add to the fact that we're dealing with children ages 5 to 8. This is to give them an idea of what they could potentially be interested in, gives them a taste, different project opportunities. It's very common if you have Cloverbuds and are wanting to do horse, you can incorporate some of the activities off of Horseless Horse. They don't complete a project. This is a non-competitive participatory program. So Don't do project aliases where kids will be doing clover bud woodworking, etc. And if you have questions on that, please visit with Carrie on that. As we go through the year, we'll be looking at those records. We'll probably be doing some checking, and it's not going to be later. It'll be sooner than later before we close out our data set for this year. But it's really important. And so what you'll see as they go to enroll, if you have a child 5 to 8, the only thing that they will be able to really select is the clover buds. As they age to junior, then that's 9 and above. So they won't be able to go into clover buds projects. They can engage in different project areas. Now, do you still have the different age, parameters for different shooting sports projects as an example?
We don't know. Ours are all the same age parameters.
Okay, so sometimes you'll come across a project where, maybe you have an age limitation or whatever, but for the most part, you'll be able to have the kids fit in with they'll have a junior, intermediate, senior age division tied to their profile based off of their age. But that will help with that too. Haven't had any issues with emails. Broadcast emails seems to be working great. I don't know, I'll open the floor for any questions you guys might be having. Or wonky things. Do you guys have any questions on how to pull ES-237? What I used to do with that is that gave me a baseline. I would look, especially not so much at total numbers at this point, but I would be looking at projects just to kind of see where my numbers are at. Obviously looking at the total, okay, where are we at kiddo wise for numbers? But I would be looking at where are our projects sitting at. This is about the time of the year where you start making arrangements for judges, visiting with your leaders, making sure meetings are going on. If you have any families that are having issues with, in Idaho as an example, we have not only the meeting, the attendance and participation, making sure that they hit their organizational club meetings. They have to attend a certain percentage of their organizational club meetings in addition to their project meetings. So making sure that members are engaged not only in their club, but also doing their projects. If there were families that we needed to visit with, those conversations are better off to have now than to when we get closer to fair time, to where project completion would be an issue. But ES-237 is helpful, gives you kind of a good guide as to where you're at. It'll give you an idea of how big potentially your class sizes will be. I look more at that, like on the livestock projects. Hogs are just crazy, insane this year. Another pig shortage and then some. But it's just one of those continually evaluate pieces. I haven't had anything really coming through from James and Celeste as far as issues on their end. I know that development is definitely moving forward with version 2.0. I'm engaged in those conversations as well as record book. Doing a lot of work on that front. We're really plugging through on the ins and the outs and functionality and things that we would like to see. So don't have anything to demo at this point, but I anticipate that coming here the next couple months for sure.
So for the 2.0, are we going to have to get like a new login and everything?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. yeah, and then I'll definitely ask that question to be on the safe side. But no, everything. It's just the biggie is where it'll be more responsive. I'm still not a fan with the amount of information for our new enrollments that we have to answer. Having folks complete their initial enrollment on their phone is a little challenging, but with maybe it being in a responsive format, it can be done. I am looking forward to being able to better utilize this when I'm on the road or my iPad. There's serious functionality issues where reports are concerned, where I think we'll see a huge difference in that, specifically in that area when we're talking about using tablets and different types of media. And hopefully, you know, maybe with the different platform, if folks use different browsers, then we'll get over this absolute crunch hurdle. But I have found still to this day folks that insist on using Internet Explorer, and it really does not use it. It is ugly. You just don't want to go there. They're like, what's a browser? So that continual conversation with your families, always encourage them. Make sure you use Firefox or Google Chrome for best results. And you know, some of it may be a little efficacy issue, but if you walk them through the steps of downloading a browser, also making sure that they update their browser, that does go a long way in help. I don't know. I guess I can walk through the shared report. Other than as far as the checks and balance on email, is there any other information that you want? One of the things I have noticed is that sometimes a primary phone number isn't captured on the family record, and I don't know why. Member records have the phone numbers, but the family record doesn't have a primary phone number. So I may throw that field in there in that report, just to make sure that on that record you have that. And I'm going to do a share screen real quick, so then that way if you come across a family in that report, if they do end up having to change their email, actually we can log into here. So what I'm talking about as far as the family email, it's in this section. So I logged in as the member, went to my member list, and this is the gateway. This email address here is the gateway, not what's included in here, although in this instance it's the same. But if you need to change that email, you click Edit Family. You can enter in the new email address, and then once you do that, you need to, I don't know, at the county level, do you guys have the option to reset the password?
Yes.
Okay, so
I can change all of this.
Yes, you can. So if you have a family that calls you and says, okay, or you talk to a family, I need to change, or my email address is changed, what you have on file is wrong, just click Edit Family, enter in the new email address, and reset the password in that order, and click Continue. What you will see is a little line of text with the system-generated temporary password. The family will receive an email with that as well, but if you're working face-to-face with that family, just write down or do a highlight and a Control-C. So then that way when you go through the next step with the family, new address, whatever, then they could actually log in. But the system will go through, they'll get them an updated email, they'll get the login steps, And then once that family logs in, they'll be prompted to reset their password, and then they'll be good to go. And I think you get, I think it's 3 tries. 3 tries with the password, and if they have too many failed attempts, they will lock themselves out. So then you would need to reset their password too, is another example where that would happen. A lot of times folks are trying to do it on their phone and they hit a wrong key. Well, that counts as a time. So, and actually let me share my screen again. I think you can see also their login attempts or their login history. Yeah, right here. So when you click edit family, you're on family right now, but if you go all the way to the right, login history, you can see, okay, so there was a failed attempt, then 2 successful attempts back on the 24th. But that information can be kind of handy too, where you can monitor, okay, you know, if somebody's saying, well, I didn't get this and I didn't do that, or, you know, I didn't get the emails, you can check login history. You can also check in there, I think, isn't there, let me check, I thought there was an email. Yeah, there's also an email history too. So same area, just further to the left, the second field. You can see here, these emails have been opened. So if somebody says, well, I didn't get it, you can look and see if they did in fact get it, or you can tell them, okay, email went to here and it was opened, or I think if it's not opened, it'll still stay in a delivered or a pending status, but that can be helpful. There are definitely cases of that in the past where I wish I would have had that function. So. Any other questions? Did you have anything coming up, Carrie, or like with events or anything like that, or?
I can't think of any events specifically right now. We did use the events for the livestock competition, and
How did that go?
You know, I'm not sure. Molly, do you know how, like, because you had people register?
Yeah, I had 2 kids do it. I don't think they paid on it. I
No.
think they paid in person, yeah.
Right. We didn't set up that part of it, but
they said it went fine because I accepted their registration shortly after they did it, and then I let Francis know.
Cool. All right.
So
good.
That was the only one I think at the state level we've used.
Okay.
So
we've done it trying to get state archery or state shooting sports shoots to do the registration.
And we may do that with our state shoot this year. I may convince them to do that.
Well, they were using Excel registration. Well, then they had 4 kids come to the shoot, and they were not reactivated 4-H members.
Oh. Yep.
And then they got reactivated because they've been doing the project work and everything. I was like, y'all need to re-enroll.
Yes.
I guess the other thing too is just keep tabs on your pending list. We've been working really hard with our folks, especially looking at some of these reports for the audit. If you've got enrollments that come in October, December, January, get them in, get them paid, get them activated. One of the things I ran into last year when I did an enrollment report, we had a couple of counties have their fair and everybody got activated after their fair was done. If they're engaging in 4-H activities, meetings, etc. They should be active status, period. And if they are not, they should not be attending meetings. They should not be engaging in their club work. And if they're an adult, they certainly should not be meeting with children. Active is active, good to go. If they're pending or in any other status, then they don't get to play. I know that's easier said than done, but it's getting to a point where it's critical mass, and it's going to take just one time. And I hate to think of what could happen, but if something does happen, then that really kind of makes a huge ripple as far as how we move forward with program, how we do program, and I can almost guarantee you that risk management and the university will have a lot to say on how we do that. So that's absolutely critical. Clear out the pending file and get them in, and try to be as hyper vigilant on that as possible. I know that it's really difficult. We can't spread ourselves, we can't control what people do. And we have no really way of verifying if they are or are not engaging in 4-H program, if they're in a different status other than active. But it is our responsibility to manage that and to be proactive and, getting them in there. That's kind of the reason why we have the system in a nutshell. It is to help us do our job. But we got to be mindful of that, and do not have your county fair and accept everybody after your fair. Everybody, if they're doing meetings, they should be active, and if not, then no, and they get to have a meeting with you and your county chair and Carrie. That's Houston, we have a problem. So I know I've been on that soapbox for a while, but it's just, right now we have some counties that are 0. And it's May 23rd. So I don't know if there's no 4-H going on, but Dr. Lindstrom has some questions on that, and he's been visiting with folks. We're really trying to encourage with our recertification process and just everything, really working towards an enrollment window or enrollment timeline to get everybody re-enrolled. One of the things that we will put into place for next 4-H year, we always have that issue with our rollover being October 1. And then we go right into National 4-H Week. Well, if everybody's sitting in an inactive status, it makes it really kind of difficult in the back of your mind. Okay, are we protected by insurance? Some of our counties have gone so far as for the National 4-H Week or different events that start right off at the beginning of October to do the special event insurance. But one of the things that we're going to try for this next 4-H year is to give them a grace period of 60 days to where the enrollment basically carries forward, but by December 1 they have to start, or they have to be re-enrolled, or have that process initiated. So the reason being is we have a lot of counties that are doing 4-H open houses, 4-H events, and the question was, well, how do we get these folks engaged? How do we do that if we don't have them in the system, or how do we marry that up? So we're working on the verbiage to give a potential grace period. We'll see how that works, and we are definitely going to evaluate as we move forward, and we'll reevaluate and decide if that was a good decision or not next year. We've been visiting a lot with American Income Life and risk management on that, but we're hopeful that we can use that as a motivation for doing more National 4-H Week events, having people thinking about 4-H starting in October be, and then, you know, ultimately, if that helps with getting folks re-enrolled too, then that'll be great.
So when are you guys going to work on 4-H online?
So
updating it for the new year.
Yeah.
that will be on October 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And depending on, I'm not aware of any, at this point, any major system changes from James' side. I mean, other than I don't know what the time frame is for version 2.0, but I don't know if that'll be this year or not.
No, they're saying at least 19 or 20.
Okay. So we cannot make any changes in the system until we have a rollover piece. Now, as far as the length of time to where we'll have a closure, that's yet to be determined. I guess it kind of depends on what components need to change for y'all, and I haven't visited with Carrie on that. So it could be as little as, you know, a couple days, or it may push us back a week. You know, unfortunately, as far as making changes to any of the projects, any of the animals, we have to do that with being rolled over. We can't make those changes initially before, you know, if we can't really make those changes with this data set. If we make any changes to the authorization, it nullifies what everybody's provided consent to when they re-enroll. So I guess I can visit with Carrie. We can kind of flesh out, you know, okay, what are the big changes, and try to get an idea of how much time that will take. Now, bear in mind, we will be that following week heading to Ohio. So I'm definitely motivated getting that done, but that window really depends on what all needs to be changed. Now, hopefully it's not as long as what we had last year. You know, if it's a couple pieces here and there, it shouldn't be a big deal. And
I don't foresee major changes because we uploaded a lot of the stuff already.
Okay.
So
I know,
Yeah.
I think I was one of the first counties that needed it last year, and I made the club push it back to the second week. So I just wanted to make sure, like, the rollover was still going to happen the same time,
yeah.
and we were going to be able to use it the second week. So that's fine then.
Well, yeah, and they really did kind of throw it for a loop, throw a wrench in it when they put the National 4-H Association meeting the first week of October, essentially National 4-H week. It will be, you know, there'll be a lot of people out of town. So not the smartest move on Ohio's part, but not my.
yeah, well, and
So
yeah, we should be okay. The lion's share, the big bulky things, if they're, you know, we'll check the verbiage on the release, on the waiver. There shouldn't be anything to change on the animals, so that'll be good to go.
That was my question.
Those are the biggest impacts.
That was my question. Has anybody used the animal piece of the 4-H online this year? You guys use it?
I don't think there's a lot of activity going on with the critters, the truth be told, but let me just see what we've got.
I just was thinking, you know, I wasn't sure if anybody, and I just looked, and we only have one county that has 0 entered in 4-H online, and I know which, you know, I know why in that county. So
there are some counties that are using animals. It looks like we do have 2,157 records.
well,
Now, some of that's from Demo County. Looks like Churchill is using it.
Clark it looks,
County. Douglas for sure. Elko, Humboldt, Lander. link in a little bit.
So you guys have used it, Charlene and Lander? There's some Washoe ones in there.
Yeah. A little bit on White Pine.
Mineral doesn't use it because we don't have any ag out
I
here.
was gonna say, you don't have any animals. Oh, and I'm looking, so one of them that's here in Reno, in Washoe County, they're just in there, but they don't have an animal in there.
Okay.
So.
Well, and that might be something, we as we move forward, but the animals are there. We leave it as an option for folks to do it. More and more, our counties are using that function just from a quality assurance standpoint, better visual tracking without having to go into some of the next evolutionary pieces where it comes to livestock. And big pieces to nip in the bud cheating. The nice part with the photo uploads is as you do your initial weigh-in, you can get a picture of that animal and the ear tag. Those can be uploaded. Now that being said, we do have some counties that are now doing DNA testing, doing some other things that you see more frequently in the Midwest. Not so far as retinal scans, but definitely some of these other components to alleviate that issue.
Okay. Yeah. So Charlene, so Lander County started using it. Yeah. And then parents have gone that far on their own. Yeah. That's kind of what I figured when I looked at that one. But, that might be, is there a way in that to also tell to also mark that they've gone through YQCA training?
I don't know if that's a
in there?
field, but we can add an additional field. But I think there is a QC.
Somewhere I thought there was a way that we could, because for like Nevada Junior Livestock Show, they have to go through YQCA training. And I'm just thinking that could, if we could somehow capture that in their record, at least our 4-H members in their record, it might be helpful.
Yeah, we can look at that for sure.
I don't know if that's really going to work though, Carrie, because I heard that this was the last year that they're going to do the 3-year where it's going to be acceptable for 3 years. And then they're going to have to do it every year. They're supposed to have a rules meeting in October or November and discuss it. But I know Lindsay and maybe someone else that's from YQCA is going to be in that meeting. And that's when they're going to talk about it. So I don't know.
But even then, if it could just be marked that yes, they've completed it, or no, they had,
and maybe the date, if we could add the date that they completed it.
And then we do have some counties that are going to that as well, requiring, even if they don't go to NJLS, they are requiring quality assurance. So
okay,
I can definitely look at that.
Okay.
And see whether or not that's a field that's within animals,
or if it's within their
or it's something we can do on the additional fields
in the new 4-H year. Okay.
So to answer your question though, Molly, our rollover timeline shouldn't be as bad as it was last year. The big beasties have been taken care of as far as, the creation of the animals. I have to go through, create the species, create the breeds, create the animal, and then identify all the fields. So the animal setup on that is a time hog, but we should be good to go and hopefully minimal. If there's no changes on the waiver and any of those risk management components, then that helps too. The health components are all set up, so it's just a matter of I's dotted, T's crossed, and then the other piece we usually do is any changes to the projects. And then capturing, okay, what projects stay or go. And then if there are changes to the projects, one of the pieces for y'all is as soon as we get that reopened, linking that. Got to link your projects to your clubs. So hopefully it's marginal. in maybe 1 day, 2 days. But if we can have you all opened up that first week of October, that would be ideal. So I have to go to Ohio, and we're doing a poster, so kind of have to be there for
I do
conference. Idaho is hosting National Association of 4-H Agents conference in 2020.
We are all saving our money here.
Yes, as you should. It's gonna be great.
We're going to take a whole bunch. So yeah, I think those were the main things that I had.
Okay.
So,
well,
Sam, Marie, Charlene, Sharon, Katrina, Molly, any other questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
okay.
Okay.
If you guys come across something later or whatever, no such thing as a bad question, so don't hesitate to fire off an email or get a hold of me, and we'll get you taken care of. But be on the lookout for that shared report. It'll be, go to your reports file, go to the shared folder. I'll have an asterisk, and I'll try to make it something generic, like email checkoff or something like that. So it'll come with adding a star to your list as a leader, or even a number will help push reports to the top of your list if you don't use folders. So, but it will be in the shared report, and I will do that right as we get off here.
Okay.
All right, well, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.